down, we have Tyrande, Uther, Vala, Raynor, and Muradin, and Raynor is a strange pick. Raynor is a strange pick. I believe this is on this patch. So I assume Jaina was banned out if they had bans. And the enemy team is also very strange. We have Diablo Arthas, which is double tanks, which is interesting. And I see it right here. I can link Town Hall in the chat. Is it maybe it's set to like hidden or something on accident? I'm gonna link it. You guys are distracting me from my analysis. All right.
Welcome here to
Anyway, so heroes of the dorm. And on the other side, we see Irish Flame on Diablo Arthas. Double tank, already a bit weird. And then we've got Nazeebo, Vala, and Malfurion. So double tank is interesting, specifically seeing Arthas, but there's a bit of synergy. I'm hoping that we see Diablo actually run with Lightning Breath in this game. I'm going to try to talk on both sides of this actual match, not just cover our blue team, but they are the ones that sent us in the replay, and we are going to finally get started with this first game. And it's going to be Blackheart's Bay. Now we got a few replays. We'll probably poke around through most of them and just kind of peel apart. Now immediately I'm going to say the blue team has already made a mistake. They sent all 5 members to the top lane of the map, and if they do not get to the bottom lane in time to soak and they miss experience, that's detrimental. Even if you manage to get a kill, losing experience in the bottom lane is rough. And guess what? Here they are. Their bottom lane soak is going to waste, and they're completely ignoring it. And that is a mistake. So you always need to have someone. Now Raynor is finally making his way down to this bottom lane. He's going to be soaking that lane. And soaking is kind of a weird term, right? Where did it come from? I assume sponges, but beyond that, I don't really know. I don't know who came up with it, but essentially it just means to be in the proximity of those minions to acquire the experience from around them. Now, there have been no deaths in this game, but we can already see the red team is starting to get a slight advantage in experience, and that will add up if you are not properly soaking lanes. So Muradin, Diablo, it's very common to have tank v tank in the top lane, just kind of the norm that we end up seeing. And this Zeebo's positioning is really he's way by himself. If they wanted to mount up and try to collapse on him, they connect one Lunar Flare, that Nazeebo gets destroyed. Now, they don't actually know that he's by himself, but during all this, they're continued to be out-soaked. Now, they're going to try to kill Diablo here. The passive going off here for Raynor, keeping himself alive. Nice big kill coming off from Uther, with the Howling Blast coming from below. Arthas rotates up as soon as he knows that he's needed, and he picks up a kill. So right now, I mean, let's just rewind and take a look at the positioning of this and just talk about a few things. We can talk about soaking a lot, because soaking is obviously a big deal. Blue team is very forward, very clumped up. Muradin is not here, so they're aggressing without their tank, and they know that there's no one in the top lane. So if you're watching the minimap at this point in time, you know Muradin's alone. You have eyes on these 3. You don't see Nazeebo, so you don't know where he is. And they just had eyes on Arthas, because Arthas had been in the bottom lane. 4 out of 5 were there. They're well aware of that if you're watching the minimap. And Muradin's not here. They're in no position to be aggressing here in this situation. If you don't have vision and you're pushing forward and you could be at a disadvantage in terms of hero numbers, you just play passive. Don't chase. Chasing is typically a bad idea in this game. Chasing is the best way to lose fights. And that's pretty much what we saw happen here. They chase pretty big. The Lunar Flare gets whipped. Zombie Wall picks up 2 of them, followed by that Howling Blast. And yeah, that's a bit of a wombo. And then Diablo just Shadow Charges and picks up a nice kill. And it just kind of goes downhill from there. So on the positive side of things, ooh, does Channel live? Yeah, she does. He, she, they. Does live. Muradin has been soaking during all this, so that is a positive that helps their experience out a little bit. But I don't think our blue team has actually absorbed any experience from the bottom lane. I don't think they have, and it's the soak is now recommencing for the red team. They're just kind of spreading out back to the lanes, making sure they get as much experience as possible. And this is good that they're rotating around collecting coins, but you don't need to do it as your full team. Typically, you want to send 1 to 2 people as a coin squad to collect as many coins as possible and make sure you soak lane. So it's good that Chiana is making their way to the middle lane to make sure they soak that properly. And finally, for the first time in this game, they're actually soaking. So, but they're a level down. Like, yes, they're down 3 kills, but it's more the soak than those kills that are actually putting them this far behind in experience. And being down a full level this early in the game, is harsh. It is, and I mean, that can give them that talent advantage. Right now, they have the 4-3. That's a talent advantage. If they wanted to try to make a timing happen over maybe aggressive mercenary camps or something, they could do that. Ooh, that's really nice. And bit of criticism. In that situation, this is a very Tyrande-specific thing. When you throw that Hunter's Mark, when you throw that Lunar Flare in the air, like you see Chiana, as it travels, it has a bit of a long time. So you see it go up. It takes a minute to do that. This is when you use Hunter's Mark. So once you send your E out, then you hit D, click on Vala. You get that Hunter's Mark on them. That will activate it before the next hit goes down. So he would have taken an additional 25% damage. Hunter's Mark, that's an additional 25% damage. You then hit that, and then you cast your W if it's off cooldown. Obviously, it's not here. But the additional 25% damage, that could make or break the situation pretty much every single time. So that's just a little fun tip when it comes to Tyrande. Now, Zebo here in their jungle. They have full vision on Zebo with this Watchtower. He's actually stealing their pirates, and Chiana needs to back up here. Chiana should be fine, but there's no rotation from Muradin or Tyrande to try to deal with that. And if you have the Watchtower, you need to abuse that. The fact that Nazebo actually felt safe enough to go in under that Watchtower to grab those coins is pretty crazy, to be honest with you. So at this point in time, Red Team, they're going to be turning in. They're going to be getting the first siege of the game. And this gives them a bit of freedom. Now, they haven't done enough damage to actually take out this first fort. The first siege of the game will always go down on the middle lane. And if you destroy one structure, if you say you destroy one tower, or this tower, before you turn in your coins to get that siege, it will guarantee the destruction of the fort in the game. So that's a bit of a pro tip, I guess, just a little minor thing. But yeah, Muradin gets picked off here, just a big rotation. And again, they had that Watchtower vision, so you really need to be very proactive watching that minimap when you see the rotation. We'll just actually kind of check out the situation to see like what kind of information he had and how he should respond. Okay, so it looks like he's put way out of position, so I can't really blame him for that one. Nice shadow charge from Diablo, catching him off guard and picking up a kill. And the bottom lane though, they are capitalizing. They're getting some pressure in. They're down more than a level at this point in time, but they're starting to get that pressure in. So, oops, I meant to zoom in. There we go. And I actually fast forwarded a little bit. So we're just going to rewind that back up, get back to the normal speed. Right now it's 6-7. So in terms of talents, enemy team ahead, let's just take a brief break to take a look at the talents and the builds on these heroes. Now this is pretty standard stuff. We're seeing Ranger's Mark with Healing Ward, very good. Conjurer's Pursuit for the mana, sustain. Yes, this guy is gonna die. I'm sorry, Rainer. You live a good life. Whoa, the Howling Blast was not in the right direction. That death physics are great in this game. Multi-shot build, pretty standard, and Seasoned Marksman. Now, Rainer's a bit of a weird hero as a whole. Rainer doesn't really do as much as a lot of the damage dealers in the game when it comes to something like Jaina or Vala or Tychus. They're all very impactful. And a big part of that is the fact that Rainer, his Q knocks the target away. Now, obviously, if you're in an aggressive position, you can knock them towards your team and it can be very beneficial. But 9 times out of 10, you're not in that position because you're staying safe behind enemy lines, and when you Q them and it knocks them away, a lot of the times they get away with little to no health. So it's interesting. So, but the big thing about this build is going Seasoned Marksman and then Vampiric Assault. He's already got 2 supports, so he should not need Vampiric Assault. He's actually sacrificing utility and damage in order to get a little bit more sustainability. And considering he has a Tyrande and an Uther, that's overkill. That's way overkill. And Seasoned Marksman, that's something that scales on a longer map. If you're playing on a map like Garden of Terror, if you're playing on a map like Cursed Hollow, where you know the duration of the map's going to be a little bit longer, the Seasoned Marksman can be very impactful in the late game once you get to level 22, 23, whatever. It gets really strong, but Blackheart's, it's not known for being a long duration map, and the talent in general is kind of subpar. So, kind of interesting choice on the Rainer build. All the other builds are interesting. I could talk about this Vala build in the same kind of sense as the other one, but we're going to watch this fight. Then we'll update the enemy team's build. Chiana is going to get blown up here. That's just the power of these double tanks. They're going to scoop up those coins, and handing over those coins is what makes this map so snowbally. If you're losing team fights after team fights after team fights, you can't get coins, you can't turn in, and they just keep sieging you for free, and they just continue to get further and further ahead, and we can see they have a 2-level lead. But really quickly, this is a very standard Diablo build: Soul Feast, Amplified Healing, and Battle Momentum. That's just as standard as it gets. Arthas is in a weird place. He's not very commonly played. This is interesting. They changed the level 1 talent. He used to have Envenom for level 4. I can't comment on this because I don't see a lot of Arthas play. I don't play Arthas at all myself, really. So I can't say this is bad, but it's definitely not the norm. When in the competitive matches, they actually spec into the D, which is Frost Strike, I think it's called. Typically that's what we see. We see people spec, or Frostborn Hungers is actually what it's called. So typically that's what we see. They really spec into that D a lot, and they get the increased size in the Frozen Tempest. This is just to reduce cost. For Nazebo, picking up Death Ritual, Gathering Power, and Gidbin, this is just a very classic Nazebo build. We've started to see variations where people spec more into the spiders. They get the jumping spiders, they get the increased damage on spiders. I believe one of those talents is level 4. On Vala, this is a really weird build. Vala's typically, right, they say pretty much all the competitive players have done the math, and they've sat down, they've looked at all of Vala's builds, because we've seen a million builds with Vala back, over time. And she recently lost battle momentum, but it's always been you spec into multi-shot, you get battle momentum, and you run with it. Well, now that battle momentum's gone, we see either Caltrops if the enemy team has like a melee hero, or maybe we'll see Searing Attacks. There's a few variations, but pretty much we never see Rancor. And this is single target, and we never see Vampiric Assault, and we never see Caltrop. So this is a bit of a unique build, I would say. And this Malf is actually picking up battle momentum, which I actually didn't know Malfurion had, and I'm a support main. I've played over 100 games with Malfurion, and I didn't know he had battle momentum. So beyond that, this is a very aggressive Malfurion build. He's going for the Vengeful Roots. We call this Manfurion. He's going to be getting in your face, trying to dish out the damage. This way he has a lot of control on the battlefield. It's interesting. We'll see how it pans out, but we're just going to continue with this game now that we've talked about all of those talents. So at this point in time, Blue Team, they're down. They're down a talent tier. They're down in experience as a whole, and he's getting the Hamstring, that's good. He's getting the Piercing Bolt, this is standard murder to play. Clairvoyance is a great talent, and oh my goodness, it's going to be nice. And this is great, this is what they need. They need to pick off these kills, so as long as they do manage to kill, please. Yeah! So they managed to kill Diablo. They did get bombarded. Now, this bombard will just about, I think it will actually kill this fort. I think some structural damage had already been done. The Lunar Flare was left in a nice zombie wall. They can't really keep chasing. They're spending so much time chasing Nazebo for a kill where he's nowhere even near dead, and they just need to kind of cut their losses, accept the fact that they've now finally picked up some map control. And what is the objective on Blackheart's Bay? The objective is to collect coins and turn them in. Well, they have turned in 0 coins. They're currently sitting on a total of 6 coins. What they should be doing right now is capitalizing this bit of like map control they have just briefly. They should have just ran over here, picked up those pirates instead of chasing the Nazebo, because they were already in the area. Maybe then rotate back and decide to pick up their bruisers. But Chiana will get flipped almost to safety, ends up getting blown up here, and they just cannot fight. They don't have heroics, and they are just not in a place at all to fight. So, oh no, Uther is getting caught. The strafe does get very nicely done by our Murdered player stopping the strafe, but Uther will fall, and this is a bit of a tight spot. So just running through the heroics, we actually see Syndra Ghost up. This is going... Uther Ghost forgot how to walk. The Goose of Uther just kind of sliding across the ground. And yeah, they get that second turn in. They pick up the top 4. Red team is looking great, but blue team, they've got some adjustments to make. Hot Pursuit, gonna be nice, but yeah, again, getting rooted, getting locked down, getting blown up here. And they shouldn't be fighting. Like, that's probably the best thing I can tell you right now. Like, they're actually just getting obliterated right now. If the enemy team is level 11 and you are at level 8, the only way to come back in the game is to concede your position and go into all 3 lanes and soak and just try to catch up in level leads. Because if you sit here trying to fight, you're basically slamming your head onto a barbed wire fence, and it doesn't feel good, because these guys, they have more damage. They've just got the damage output, And I see a comment in chat, how do you get these replays? People just email me replays. I ask them a lot on my streams for replays, so these were sent in to me. So, I mean, even if they manage to take one kill, which they're not, I mean, that Malfurion was so close to dead. But guess what? Tranquility's huge. Lightning Breath did a bajillion damage in that fight because, hey, they have heroics. And they lost a sizable amount of people. So at this point in time, they really just need to kind of spread out, kind of get into all those lanes and start soaking. And let me just disengage this mouse scroll. When you're obsing, you don't want to be able to go to the edge of the screen. It drives me nuts. So Diablo, he's going home. He wants some mana. He's going to go eat some mango lattes. And they're getting all these coins turned in again. 4 here from Priao. It's going to be turned in. I mean, Pimp Kane doesn't even need to turn his coins because he's just gonna go home and do what pimps do with their money. And at this point, they need to be soaking those lanes. And Tyranda's a mid. That's good. They got top. This bottom lane, it's like it's almost like the blue team doesn't even know this lane exists. And we see this so frequently in quick match and just with newer players that they just, it's like, okay, well, in Heroes of the Storm, there's no last hitting, so there's no farming, right? That's not exactly true. You need to make sure you're in those lanes to actually make sure you get that experience, because you don't just get that experience for free, and I can't stress that enough. And this game is a phenomenal example of that. But right now, they just need to hit 10. They're going to be down to talent advantage no matter what. Level 13 is going to be picked up, but right now, Chiana has been bullied out. The strafe is just going in, and they're continuing trying to push in. They're continuing trying to fight when the enemy team doesn't have heroics. And if they come back in this game, it'll be something miraculous. Now, we can run through the red team's builds at this point in time. They are getting close to 10, so they'll finally have those heroics, but they're definitely at a disadvantage. But level 10, or level 13, we do see that Relentless was picked up by Diablo, and that's a very good pickup. There's stuns on, well, we don't know if there's going to be Random Vengeance, but there's a stun on the Muradin, there's a stun on the Uther, and there's a stun on the Tyrande, so Relentless is more than warranted. The Trail of Frost just makes it easier to hit your skill shots, because that means the Trail will also root people down. And then we have Giant Killer picked up on Vala. Giant Killer, typically you would get that in almost no matter what if the enemy team has, let's say, 2 tanks, and Uther is kind of a tank in terms of his health pool, so it scales by health pool, so I think it's a nice pickup. But look at this. The level advantage is allowing Vala, I mean, it looks like she's fed, to just go in and blow them up. Garu Gaming, yeah, it's true. And, oh, well, this is a nice turnaround, and then Shadowstalk is picked up. Now, Miz 007 can barely get out, but our Muradin friend was left for the Wolves, and he will get blown up. And it's looking grim. It's looking grim for the red team. We see that Battlecruiser. Wow, I actually haven't seen that new Hyperion emoticon. Was picked up. We do have the Strafe. We have the Divine Storm, and then Shadowstalk, and last but not least, Avatar, all being picked up. And yeah, they are in a tight spot. Sprint on Zebo, pretty common talent, and then we actually have full Woodfire. Very, very strange build on some of these zeros, but it's interesting to see, regardless of how you look at it. Now, I'm almost ready to just go to the next replay, because it's at this point in time, Blackheart's Bay is very hard to come back into. Once you start taking so much structural damage, and you haven't even touched their structures, if you haven't done anything, you've taken 1 fort out, 1 tower, 2, 3 towers down, and you've lost a keep, it's a massive task to try to come back. But I believe in our red team. They're catching Diablo out of position. They're going to pick up a kill here. They did lose Muradin. Divine Storm was used, but Chiana not going to be able to live through that. There's the Battlecruiser. That's 8 coins on Diablo, and that's, I mean, getting the kills great, but picking up those coins even bigger. But no, they get bullied out. Not going to be able to get in there. The roots coming down, and I mean, we just see that Nazebo and Malf are happy to scoop them up, walk away. Diablo did have the souls, enough souls to respawn, so he's back alive. He's happy. And yeah. Is it quick match rules for Heroes of the Dorm? I don't actually know the drafting rules when it comes to Heroes of the Dorm. So if somebody in the chat knows the rules for that, I would love to have that information. But right now, red team just continuing their map dominance. 8 coins sitting here. Again, we see 6 more, or 4 more on top of that. If they do stop this and pick up a kill, this could be huge. Lunar Flare does get whiffed. A little bit off there. And they just need to back up. They need to cut their losses. They're down a talent tier, and Syndragosa is engaging. They don't know who's on the other side of this. And, man, Raynor is just going to get decimated. A beautiful Lunar Flare going down the follow-up, but they just don't have that damage. And now they're going to get collapsed on. It's a 5v2. Sprint just trying to get Chiana out of here. Uther will become the Ghost of Uther once again. And then he does no longer how to use... He doesn't know how to use his feet. He's just going to scoot around. That's what Goose do. They just scoot. Scoot. And dissipate. And right now, Muradin's getting his soak on. He's just trying to get that experience back into the game. They're just trying to crawl their way back in desperately. We have people rotating around. Bab Knives, he wants that. But guess what? Another turn in. This turn in, it's going to kill the top keep. And that's going to be 2 keeps down with catapults pushing down for the rest of this game. And that is harsh. That is hard. That's very hard. But they're trying to kill coins. I don't actually know if they've turned in a coin yet. I guess we'll find out when this siege does, in fact, finalize itself. But they're at the point in time where they almost need the blue team to throw at this point in the game. They're very far behind. 3 levels is a massive disadvantage. And, oh, Muradin giving that Dwarf Toss over that wall to stay alive. The roots are nicely placed, but really nicely dodged. He's doing a good job with that. And, oh no, the Divine Storm was whipped, but the Lunar Flare does connect. If they manage to follow up with this, they can't. The zombie wall just zoned them out. Red team is just doing so many things right. This very aggressive strafe. If they had a stun to stop it, it would have been nice, but no, not available at that moment. Ravenous Spirit going in. Raynor just trying to mount up in their face. Not going to work out for him. And the Goose of Oath, they're just going to scoot in circles. It's not actually going to, not going to try to heal anyone. Just going to scoot in circles, staying alive. Lightning Breath is just ruining Chica, and I think this is going to be game. Both teams pick whatever they want, and they can see the other team's picks. I believe it. GG comes up from Eclipse being mannered. And yeah, so hopefully that was pretty informative. I mean, they lost the game very early, and a large part of it was soak, and I just can't stress it enough, is to, you will fall behind very quickly if you are not soaking your lanes properly. And that's pretty much what ended up happening in that game. So we're going to keep looking through some more replays submitted by these guys. Just analyzing those games, and it, you know, hearing those rules, it's very interesting. I think that will probably change in the. Look at this, Chocolate Cow with the links. This is actually like a legitimate document, and I'm not reading that. But if you guys in the chat want to read it, okay. No, I actually found some stuff. Scholarship amount. Where the draft? I'm gonna just Control F draft on this document. The word draft isn't in here. Select from heroes that are available to them. Make up both teams to a match. Will be able to select from heroes that are available to them on the Battle.net accounts. In order to play a match, each team must have 5 eligible participants who have been registered by the team captains. There's nothing about drafting. Interesting. Very interesting. Well, rip red team. We're going to get another replay. Match format, I see. Is the game still rip? We're going to do another replay regardless. Oh. The computer digital code, though. I'm going to hide it so no one can steal my secret computer digital codes. Let me just find it. Type it in. Get ourselves logged into Battle.net, and then we'll load up the next replay. Typed it in wrong. I'm the worst. Now, ultimately, there was a lot of things that could have been improved in that game. Builds in general, I highly encourage you guys study builds. Go to websites like Heroes Fire, watch streamers. If you guys are actually playing in Heroes of the Dorm and you're one of those teams contesting, just reach out to streamers and just be like, hey, what's the common build for this? What's the common build for that? I could tell you a build for every single hero that we see in competitive gaming. And a lot of us are more than happy to help, because when it comes to the Heroes of the Dorm Finals, we want to see the best games possible. And that's largely why I'm taking the time to just look through these kind of replays. We're going to load up another game. Going to get that downloaded. And ready to roll here. And here we go. Garden of Terror for this second game. They deleted all the heroes and are claiming I bought something. I didn't actually check to see if I have any heroes. It just sounds like a bug. It just sounds like a bug, guys. They'll get it fixed. I'm actually going to go ahead and switch something up here. I don't want my ugly face on the screen. That's what I'm trying to say. Damn, now you guys can focus on the video game.
The gates shall open in
Actually, this entire overlay is kind of obnoxious. Let me just swap that up really quick for you.
5, 4, 3.
No game. I said pause. This looks much better, right? This is exactly what we want to see. Oh my gosh, what is this? I didn't know this was a thing. Delete. Production things really quick. Bear with me, dudes. And Heroes of the Storm. Bam. And then we'll just put my little bumper on here. Which does exist, I swear. Yeah. Sweet. Excellent. Alright. The game is loading up. Now, once again, Blue Team, they've really mixed up their draft. Or their selection. I guess it's not really a draft. But immediately, I have to compliment their composition. Other than Raynor. Raynor just doesn't make sense to me. There's nothing strong about him. He's easily one of the lowest tier assassins in the entire game. But Illidan and Rhaegar, ton of synergy there. Very powerful pair. Tassadar adds to that, makes it even more. You have a stronger buffer, but Tassadar still provides a lot of damage. And then Muradin seems to be like a weird tank they're opting for. Now, obviously, it's possible that they don't have a lot of heroes unlocked. These guys might be brand new players, and I don't know their situation. So maybe they're just playing what they have available. Entirely possible. Oh my goodness, Priyu, Illidan? Oh, so very close, but the mouthfeels are going to be off Chiana. A lot of you might say that he's overextended, but with both Tassadar, oh my goodness, the flip. Oh, is he going to live? Oh, so close. With these two, I actually thought he was going to be fine, but not the case in this situation. Just pulling up the builds, we see Shadow Shield, Healing Totem, Jorah's Pursuit, once again Seasoned Marksman, and now this is a better map for it at least, so at least Raynor has that going for him. But all in all, pretty standard stuff. On the other side, I didn't know Falstad could get Jorah's Pursuit. That's interesting. Soul Feast. And then we see Rancor being up once again, and then it looks like the Vala and Arthas are going to be sticking to those same builds. These are the same teams. I think so, Herrick, but it's okay. It's okay. Now, across the map, they looks like Raynor did die. Oh, he's gonna live. He's gonna live. That's good. Good job, Muradin. Collecting seeds. When it comes to Garden of Terror, it's pretty hard to come to the decision makings for collecting seeds versus getting mercenary camps as the game progresses, and that's something we're really going to emphasize in this video. Rhaegar does get killed by Falstad trying to collect some seeds. This Falstad's actually very aggressive, and I like that. That's like one of the first pings I've noticed in this series. Now, Muradin is going to be greeted by two members of the enemy team. Chiana making his way up, going to see what he can do to help in the backline, just going in, but Chico's got to back out, and Chiana also does too, just because the damage output initially was there. It was a 2v1 at the start, and now they're actually in this position where they know they're in an advantageous position on the map where they're actually going in and trying to get more seeds. I like the fact that he scouted this out. So they reveal the information, but it doesn't look like they're actually going to try to do anything with it. And in the process, they're all making their way to just trade. They want to get those bottom seeds. Now, there's 180 seeds on the map every single night. It doesn't change. It's always 180. There's 15 per small camp. Each of the Shamblers have 5. In each of these big plant terrors, they have 60. So by collecting these 60, they are actually effectively denying a plant terror from being enabled. So it's nice to send your team down to do that. I don't know if it was actually necessary to send the entire team down. They could have capitalized on a little bit more soak. Maybe left Muradin in the top. Maybe didn't need to be there. and then they have a little bit more experience. But all in all, the enemy team did the same thing, so they're perfectly fine in this scenario. Just a matter of what's optimal. And right now, neither team is actually soaking that bottom lane. It looks like Tassadar has realized this. And yes, I love the fact that Illidan is now entering the jungle. This is actually the perfect time to go into the jungle. Once the night phase is ended and you have the lanes being soaked accordingly, Chico's got to be careful. When you're soaking lanes, you don't necessarily need to be aggressive. You just need to make sure you gain the experience, and you try to not lose structural damage. And just walking into Diablo, he's actually going to die here. Yeah, false head just going in. Oh my goodness, so close. He'd love to see another day. But Illidan's phenomenal for jungling. He's actually one of the most efficient junglers in the game, and he's going to go collect those merc camps. So he picks up one merc camp, he's making his way here to this other merc camp, and meanwhile the rest of the team is soaking. Now, they are probably losing out a little bit in terms of the push. Yes, the enemy teams might be pushing a little bit better than them. But as long as they don't die, it's perfectly okay. Raynor decided to take a nap just for a moment, and he's gonna pay for it. That's one expensive nap. Nope, his life is actually salvaged with those heals. And Chiana's going to be able to pick up more giants. Those middle giants still being pushed in. And this is something I can't stress enough. Ooh, Murden did die in the top lane. He's got to play a little bit more passively. You want to escort those giants whenever possible. In this healing ward is actually going to heal up the giants and your minions. So no, they are getting ganked, but in scenarios where you know you're safe, like you have to have a decent amount of map presence. Like if two people leave the bottom lane, we're actually just going to rewind to kind of recap that scenario, how the team should be communicating, right? These guys are classmates. They're all going to the same school. I hope they are on voice communication together. Tassadar is in lane, and yes, he doesn't see them, but I guess it's kind of hard to make that call in this specific scenario. But at some point, you have to try to keep eyes on the enemy team. And this rotation happened. He wasn't able to make the call because he was pretty far back, and they end up losing Raynor's life in the process. So a really nice rotation by the red team, realizing that they didn't have eyes on, and they managed to pick up a kill. But all in all, I think the blue team's making some pretty good decisions in this game. They're escorting their giants pretty well. They're making sure they soak all three lanes as much as possible. And in terms of experience, they're sitting pretty strong. Just running through the builds, it's pretty standard stuff. Farsight being picked up instead of Feral Heart, that's a pretty big point of contention as to which is better. I really think Farsight has a massive impact on this map. It allows you to do a lot of things safely, especially when it comes to dividing up those seeds, just giving you that vision. I mean, 30 seconds, in theory, you have full vision of wherever you want every 20 seconds, or 10 seconds out of 30 seconds is, I guess, the more accurate thing. Immolation and First Aid, very standard build. Tassadar going for a very standard build, just getting some damage. And Raynor, I think Raynor's weird, but he went for focused attack instead of the Vampiric Assault in the last game, so I think that's actually much better, especially if you're going for a little bit more of an auto attack style here. And then the standard, just going for all the sledgehammer damage, or all the bolt damage on that. The Vala, though, she's going Manticore. This is single target damage. This Caltrops just for the dealing with Illidan, that will help deal with Illidan a little bit, and this is single target damage. I actually have to criticize the Vala for going a single target build and not picking up searing attacks. If you're going single target, you kind of want to go all the way. Searing makes it quite powerful. Caltrops, though, you can't knock on it too hard if you consider the Illidan. So that's the benefit of the doubt we'll give them. And Malfurion, once again, going for the weirdest Malfurion build I've ever seen in my life. I like it. And yeah, so I guess we could talk about Falstad a little bit too. It's just very sustained. It's not the maximum damage kind of Falstad you could see. And Chiana being caught a little bit out of position with Rhaegar here, going to be fine. Both teams hitting level 8 right now, but with Falstad there, they need to be a bit cautious. Raynor decides to just kind of throw a few auto attacks out. And we can see this. Now, this is the kind of situation where I would like to see them get aggressive. They know there's two pushed forward, and Illidan is making his way down. Yes, Illidan and Rhaegar, they are actually just going to opt to go to the merc camp. They could have tried to pick up a gank there. It would be really nice to see. And even this Malfurion, who is just shown himself on the Raynor, they don't have any interest in abandoning these giants. They just want to get them. They're just saying, play safe, be safe. But in these kind of situations, you don't know where the rest of the team is. You can assume they're in hot pursuit, so picking up that kill early is nice, and you might lose someone in the process. And actually, if Raynor gets out of here, that's phenomenal. I actually thought he was going to die for sure. So a bit of a missed opportunity for the red team, and this is going to pan out wonderfully for our blue team. They managed to get those giants. They're sitting in the backline, forcing Val's attention. They pick up a kill on Malfurion. This gives them an experience lead by just about half a level, moving towards level 10, and that's a big deal. Getting heroics first is a big deal. So comparing this to the last game of Blackheart's Bay, blue team looks so much better. They look so much more confident on this map, and but Rhaegar's got to be careful. He doesn't have any mana. Fighting without mana is always a dicey situation. And Chiana with a really nice first hit coming out. Oh, the body blocks from the bird. Turkey life. He's just too fat on Thanksgiving. Gonna try to get out of here. Actually gonna be able to do so. And Tassadar gonna peel just a little bit. And yeah, no deaths. Now, Rhaegar is able to sustain a little bit of health. He has used first aid in that last fight, and they're almost level 10. So yes, that stomp on the boss connecting with both Diablo and ETC is absolutely massive. And we can see the metamorphosis, but they're gonna, yes, okay, good. Chiana is following up on this Diablo. Gonna pick up a kill. Shadow Charge, not gonna be enough to keep this Diablo alive. Very nicely done. I like the amount of area that the Battlecruiser did zone out. Battlecruiser is an interesting talent. I definitely think Rainer's Raiders have a ton of potential also, but you know, if you use it properly for zoning, it can be rather big. And man, they picked up a convincing kill. This false head, you can see he's flying in, just line up, sit down. They really missed an opportunity there. If the second they saw that red marker there, the Raynor could have gotten, let's just actually rewind it. You know that false head is flying in, and you know you just picked up a couple kills, so they're going to be down 2. So if the didn't rewind enough. If the Raynor actually got right about here, just positioned right about here, he can cue that false head well out of where he wants to be, and really just make something big happen. So you can see he's getting healed up. Here's that false head. He should just be going down. Don't even worry about Malfurion, and try to cue him back, and that could have picked up a kill. But all in all, it's not the end of the world. They're still going to get most of the seeds here, and that's what matters. Ancestral being used on Raynor, nicely done, keeping himself alive. Rhaegar in the back line, gonna just come back up. He does have those heals, and there's a rather late Archon used, but it's going to force them back and getting stopped by that boss. Never want to see that happen, but I don't think they had vision on the boss because it was actually in the bush at the moment. So all in all, they're looking good. They're picking up the seeds. They're going to get that first Plant Terror of the game. On their side, there is the red Plant Terror marching on in. And, you know, I was so focused on all that action, I need to rewind a little bit just to actually see if they were disregarding that Plant Terror and for how long. Because it looks like they were. Yeah, so this Plant Terror is in the middle of the lane. This is when it gets a little bit gray area as to what's the best thing to do. I can say confidently that Muradin should not be in the top lane. He should be contesting that Plant Terror no matter what. And you don't need to send the entire team to deal with the Plant Terror. It's good to soak, but if you're taking those seeds, Muradin definitely should have been defending in those moments. And now Muradin is going to have to Dwarf Toss to safety. This Plant Terror has done wonders for the red team, and it only has 15 seconds on its life left, but blue team, they have one that's currently going uncontested, so it should pan out to be relatively okay for them in that regard. If they lose this keep, though, Tassadar needs to make sure he shields the keep as often as possible. You need to be, I mean, that is far more important than any Tassadar's helpful, and yes, he's using it there. Getting those shields, false head will be able to burn it down. Dwarf Toss in with no health, very risky, and does not pay off for him, and Muradin, or Rhaegar, also going to die. Little bit overextended. This game was looking so good for them, but suddenly they've lost their lead, except for the fact that they have this Plant Terror, who's going to try to even it out. But losing a keep very early like that is not good, and it just comes down to that map awareness, just watching that mini-map, and they were so focused on this bottom lane that they didn't even realize that the Plant Terror had been summoned. They picked up a lot of kills. They were in a really advantageous position, but those seeds didn't necessarily have to be the most important thing on the map, right? Making sure that a Plant Terror doesn't get to your keep is far more important than seeds, because let me tell you, if you send 1 to 2 people to defend a Plant Terror, it's all it takes. I mean, even a single person can stall it out so much better. And oh, this is very aggressive. We do see that Vala will end up falling, and Illidan might be able to turn this. He should actually probably just fight. He doesn't know what's behind that. But no, going to get that Ancestral, then turn around. Very nicely done. Going to pick up this kill onto Falstad. So nice positioning on that, knowing that the Rhaegar was going to come over and throw the Ancestral onto him. And right now, yeah, they're pinging those camps seriously. They need to spread out pick up camps, because since they were able to dominate the night phase after the fact, they're going to now have a plant terror that they can push with. And I really hope the plant terror doesn't go off by itself, because a lot of times plant terrors off by themselves will be defended. Like I said, if 1 or 2 people do defend the terror, it really negates the effectiveness by quite a bit. But when you push with it as a team, you can just get the full duration out of it, protect the plant terror, and get a lot of damage done with the overgrowth. And if the other team overextends and they get hit by the Queen's Curse, that polymorph that Plant Terror has, you can really put them in a bad place, and you can capitalize and take a big fight. But I like this. They split up. They pick up a lot of mercenary camps. Their Plant Terror will be ready, and if they have 35 seconds left to pick it up, Illidan will be making his way back to hop on in, and they do pick up 3 mercenary camps. This is exactly how you handle this kind of situation. You go around the map, you pick up those mercenary camps, then you hop in the Plant Terror. Once you have that pressure across the map, and you can either decide to send the Plant Terror by itself in this kind of situation where you have mercenary camps pushing all 3 lanes. You can send it by itself and then push hard down 1 lane so you have a double push, or you escort it. But right now they're kind of having like a lot of indecision. There's no like necessity for Eclipse to be in this top lane defending these. As long as he rotates afterwards, he'll be fine. Big Syndra Ghost going down. This Battlecruiser is going to be a nice escort for the Syndra. That Hinterland Blast, get that damage onto Rhaegar. He should have Ancestral Healing if I'm not mistaken. And they actually managed to pick up a nice kill on Arthas. That Queen's Curse positioning is actually wonderful. They can move forward. This will get them a fort. Tesla just continuing to soak top. Now that they have a kill, it's actually fine to do that. That'll help them push further ahead in experience in this situation. So that's actually quite good. And we do have Chico. He's going to end up falling. So did they overstay their welcome? Maybe, but the red team is forced to chase this. They can't really afford to chase the blue team back. And with this Plant Terror, yes, I like the fact that he's focusing on the wall. He needs an escape path. He needs to knock this down, yes, and he's just going to back on out. Overgrowth is actually being ignored, so it will dish out, you know, the rest of the damage on these walls and a sizable amount onto the fort. And this is the point where he needs to consider turning around. He's got 12 seconds remaining on the health bar. He's got almost no health, and he is now trapped in the woods against 5 enemies. He is Illidan. If anyone can get out, it's him, and he's going to be lucky. He's going to be lucky. A lot of scenarios that Illidan would not be so lucky, but Chiana does escape, so nicely done. That's an unnecessary risk. Going forward with the Plant Terror to get a single overgrowth, I mean, there was already damage done to this. Single overgrowth did not do this much damage. Not really worth the risk of losing your life, which can then mean you lose map control, which then can mean that you lose a lot more than that, especially because we have the knights spawning in just about 25 seconds, and then you need to make sure to capitalize on this night phase. So let's recap some of the talents, just kind of talk about why we're seeing these talents and all these heroes and what kind of impact they have on the game. We do have Illidan rocking the Sixth Sense. The Sixth Sense is, of course, wonderful. It's just a good talent in general to have, and it reduces pretty much all the damage you take while in evasion, and Blood for Blood just gives Illidan a little bit more burst. It gives him a little bit more sustainability. It's 15% damage done, and especially considering, I wish they had like 3 or 4 Blood for Bloods. Actually, Rhaegar can grab Blood for Blood, and in this situation, I wish he grabbed Blood for Blood, because they have that Arthas and that Diablo, and both of them, I mean, it's 15%. It's percent based. If they happen to be low and you can throw 2 for Bloods onto 1 tank, that's 30% of their health gone. Earthgrass Totem is phenomenal. It's 90% slow for 1 second AoE, so you can make plays with it, especially when you consider that you have Feral Lunge for positioning. You can actually launch yourself forward with the Feral Lunge and throw Earthgrasp down. Battle Momentum is a bit weird to see on Rhaegar. Earth Shield is additional shielding, just helps you have more burst sustain, and that's something that Rhaegar doesn't have a lot of. So I kind of wish we didn't see Battle Momentum, but it's interesting to say the least, especially when he doesn't have Feral Heart. His mana retention is not going to be very high if he's trying to cast a lot of spells with Battle Momentum. But for more Ancestrals, it's nice, but Ancestral's only a 60-second cooldown. That's pretty short cooldown for something that impactful. Tassalar's going the normal style with Dimensional Shift and Prescience. That just makes him very hard to kill. And then Giant Killer, it's going to be hyper impactful. But I don't know that I agree with Executioner all that much. Now, basic attacks deal 40% more damage against slowed, rooted, and stunned targets. There is synergy with Earthgrasp, sure, but there's not like an overwhelming amount of CC and stuff on this team, and I don't know if the Executioner is going to get its full capability. But actually, no, he doesn't have the Thunderclap. Probably slows too. Actually, let me confirm. I don't. Does it have a base slow in its normal kit? Okay, it does. All right. No, it's a little bit better when you consider that. For some reason, I thought you had to talent it to the slow on Thundercloud, but that's actually part of its base kit. So, you know what? I take it back. Execution is going to be great here. It's going to be phenomenal. It's a lot of extra damage. And with Giant Killer, there's 2 tanks. This is percent based on their total maximum health pool. That's going to be quite nice. On the flip side, though, Relentless just deal with all those stuns that happen to be in the enemy team. In this case, there's not a lot of stuns. Relentless isn't necessary. This is when you could go for something more aggressive. You just don't need the Relentless because it's only Muradin that has stuns. No stuns, no stuns, no stuns, and yeah, he has a knockback. So probably not as necessary in this game. Thunderstrike's giving him a little bit more damage. He's going for the burst damage. The full Moonfire, yeah, it's kind of a Life Seed is better. There's a few options that are better to pick up here at level 13. Giant Killer, they only have Muradin. I feel like grabbing the slow on the multi-shot, even if you're not going a multi-shot build, is just too impactful to give up versus Giant Killer in this situation. And then Trail of Frost just makes it easier to hit those howling blasts, the W. So some interesting stuff, some points to consider with those talent selections for both games. And, well, we have Irish Flame taking a lot of damage. The Tranquility is used very early in this fight, and that Metamorphosis connecting with 3 targets. Hinterland Blast will do a lot, but they're doing a really nice job focusing on this Diablo. Now that Lightning Breath turning around, just kind of going to town, and they actually lost Rhaegar during all of that. So this actually becomes very risky for Chiana on Illidan to go forward if you don't have the Rhaegar support anymore, and he will end up falling as a result. So it's actually a pretty bad spot for them right now. They need to back up. The Dwarf Toss does keep Muradin alive. They need to back up. I like the zoning queue just because if that hit Vala probably wouldn't have killed her, but it would have bought them time. So just use that backup, go back to base. This is the point in time when you want to be hearthing. Like, why are you mounting up? Hearth home. You know you're not being chased. You just disengaged, and when you hearth, you actually get bonus health upon returning to your base. You get like a chunk of health by default for using your hearth. It's like, actually, if I'm like here in my base, I will always hearth because, especially late game, it's a little bit quicker to actually just heal up back to full than actually mounting up and then walking over and doing all that good stuff. But the night phase has started. We do have a tear for the red team. The red team was able to clean up this entire bottom half of the map because of that convincing team fight they just took. And this is not the right time for Giants. I mean, let's look at the map. Red team is already here. You know they just picked up a terror. Your team desperately wants a terror in order to defend. Having an enemy terror on the opposite side when you don't have one is bad, but having a terror to defend with makes it a much more manageable situation, and you're already down to keep, so you don't want to lose another one, right? Well, yes, sure. Maybe they have these 2 heroes in the back. They don't know this. They don't know that there are 2 heroes in the enemy team's base. As far as you know, there's 2 heroes here, and there's 3 more heroes in the bush. That's as far as you know, because they don't have eyes and mouth. That's what you assume. So you assume the worst, and you assume you need all hands on deck to help this out. Taking those Giants is a questionable choice. Now that Lightning Breath goes in, and having that used so early is very nice, but Ancestral, is it right? Okay, yes, he does have it, so he's going to be so 1 heroic use on each side of the map. But Illidan is still just kind of doing his thing. Now these Giants will be nice, but their impact isn't going to be great, and now Malfurion's caught out of position. He gets blown up. They're starting to take this boss, but now suddenly they've already lost their healer, so this is going to be very tough to do. Battlecruiser might be able to buy them some time to like try to collect some seeds, but there's a plant terror in the bottom of the map. So a lot of like just weird decisions here, and now they're actually down another hero because they fought in a situation. Okay, so they managed to pick up Diablo. And Chiana could potentially do a lot here, try to clean up. We see the multi-shot coming out, not going to be quite enough, and there is the Strafe and Tranquility. So this is time to leave. You can't, fighting into a Strafe with Tranquility like that is very scary. He's managing to stay alive. First aid is paying off quite a bit, but no, not going to be quite enough. And meanwhile, this boss has just been completely and utterly ignored because they've tried to fight in a situation where they were already down, and it all stemmed from that one decision to try to pick up those Giants whose impact, yeah, maybe they'll get work done, but in theory, if you won that fight and you were put yourself in a good position from that fight, you then pick up the Giants afterwards. Like, there's not much of an immediate benefit compared to if you do have a more, guaranteed fight over that plant terror. where you have the Illidan, you go in. They only had 3 members in that situation, so if you had all 5 to capitalize on those 3, and then you blow up those 3 team members, and you get a very convincing fight, because if they happen to only have 2 in their base, well, then you not only win the fight, you kill 3 of them, you then pick up those seeds very quickly, and then you're able to defend their plant terror with convincing fashion and get the giants. So a lot of it comes down to, am I safe to take these giants? And if you don't know for sure that you have the advantage to do that, you just don't go for mercenaries, because their impact isn't that great. They did some good damage, sure, great, but what did you lose in return? Well, you almost lost a keep. And yes, they're going to get a nice kill on Arthas, who was a bit overextended, a bit forward on his own, and red team is actually, they're starting to be, it looks like they want to back up. They're a bit scared. They're going onto these bruisers, and yes, but also a bit of a questionable play is using Battlecruiser in this situation. Battlecruiser, it's not going to do that much. He used it very far back. Most of its duration will actually just expire, yeah, as he hits that. So it actually mostly spent its days idling in space and didn't have a profound impact on that actual fight. So I heard Metamorphosis going off. He's trying to chase Diablo with that Rhaegar. Does he have Earth Grasp? No, it's on cooldown for 1 more second. They're not going to be able to pick up the kill. Chiana needs an Ancestral pretty desperately at this point in time, but they can turn onto this. If they manage to blow up Malfurion, they don't seem to have the focus. Muradin's getting chased away, and that strafe is just ruining them without that Muradin Stormbolt to try to disrupt that strafe. It's just really tough. Illidan in the front line gonna get blown up, and oh no, this is just starting to look more and more grim for them at this point in time. They've lost 4 members. Each of them have a 50-second death timer. Falstad flying in aggressively. Prescience will be, oh, it's already, he didn't even have enough mana to use it. So that is an ace, 5-0 in favor of the red team, and they are pushing forward. And yeah, they're thinking about merkin, but someone made the snap call. They said end the game, and they're gonna win. This game is over. The death timers are still another 30 seconds. I'm glad they realized this. They thought about it, but somebody made the call. Hey, go, go, go! We can end the game now, and they absolutely can. The red team, with their double tank composition, which is very strange, did manage to pick up a win in this game. So congrats to them on taking another game in Heroes of the Dorm. But Chiana, I want to thank you for submitting these replays. I mean, really cool. I mean, the early game in this match looks so much better. You guys did a lot of things right in